Marketability conundrum. In the brutal high-stakes world of contemporary sports marketing, why is a youngster out selling the world number 2? You are guaranteed a spot in history if you win a Grand Slam trophy. However, cultural supremacy is not a given. And the tennis world has learned a hard lesson about that fact this week. Because forehands and backhands aren't actually the focus of this story. It has to do with brand power. It has to do with cultural allegiance. It's about the unsettling reality of who in the current sneaker economy really transports goods. Greetings from the channel once again. We're examining a topic today that is what happened? Said to have irritated one of the sport's most dominant athletes. We are discussing Aryna Sabalenka, a formidable rival on the WTA Tour and the world number 2 multiple Grand Slam champion. Industry rumors and widely shared social media posts claim that Sabalenka is not thrilled with her sponsor Nike. Alexandra Eala, a teenage rising star who hasn't yet made a name for herself among the athletics elite, is the reason for the startling disparity in her merchandise's performance. The headline seems implausible at first. How is it possible for a limited edition Nike release linked to Eala to sell out in less than 60 seconds? According to reports, Sabalenka's iconic tournament sneakers are significantly discounted on sale racks in outlet stores around the United States and Europe. We must go back in time to comprehend the seriousness of this issue. A notification was the first step. Nike revealed a limited edition product linked to Eala. Eala, a graduate of the Rafa Nadal Academy, is still a rising star in the eyes of casual tennis fans in the West, but she hasn't yet established herself as a regular Grand Slam finalist. She won't be the main attraction at Major on Championship Sunday. However, something amazing occurred when that product went live on the internet. In an hour, it didn't sell out. In 10 minutes, it didn't sell out. In 60 seconds, it sold out. There have been reports of checkout pages crashing. Why Eala's brand is exploding. Social media feeds went crazy. Fans from Southeast Asia and the Philippines descended upon the online store with a level of fervor typically associated with a limited Jordan vintage or a partnership with Travis Scott. It was more than just the introduction of a product. It was a moment in culture. On websites like StockX and eBay, resale ads at multiples of the retail price soon emerged. It was evident that demand exceeded supply, and this disparity sparked the firestorm. Resellers were flipping Eala's drop at premium rates. At the same time, Sabalenka's fans were sharing pictures from Nike factories. The pictures were startling. Her trademark shoes were priced down and sitting unsold in stacks. To be clear, retail cycles are complicated. Seasonal timing, product design, geographical demand, and inventory allocation are all important factors. Failure is not always associated with clearance racks. However, perception has great power and spreads more quickly than facts on the internet. What is actually going on here then? At the pinnacle of the sport, Sabalenka stands for power, consistency, trophies, and competitive domination. A stands for anything distinct. She is a symbol of pride in the country. She is a symbol of local identity. She is a symbol of hope for a whole generation that has hardly ever seen themselves represented at the top levels of tennis. This emotional bond translates into purchasing decisions. Winning isn't the only goal of contemporary sports marketing. It has to do with story. It's Sabalenka's position explained has to do with relatability. It has to do with organizing the community. Eala is fully supported by Filipinos both at home and among a sizable global diaspora. When she releases a product, it's more than simply a shoe. It's a symbol, and symbols are profitable. In contrast, Sabalenka competes in a saturated sponsorship market in the West where elite domination is practically a given. Although it's not always viral, winning is recognized. The paradox is this. The trophies can belong to the current champion. The hype cycle can belong to the new cultural idol. Additionally, hype has the power to move inventory more quickly than rankings in the modern shoe market. The grandeur of Sabalenka is not diminished by all of this. If anything, it emphasizes how drastically the sports industry has changed. Titles are no longer the only factor that determines brand equity. It has to do with emotional ecosystems. Whether an athlete is larger than another is no longer the true question. This is it. Which is more important in 2026? Connection off the court or supremacy on it? The scoreboard and the sales chart are no longer the same thing. If this episode provides any indication, sitting beneath red clearance stickers are rows and rows of the Nike Zoom GP Turbo, the model that Aryna Sabalenka made famous during her championship campaigns. It's horrible to look at. Sellout drops are linked to Alexandra Eala reselling above retail in a matter of hours on one side of the internet. However, Sabalenka's iconic tournament sneakers were significantly social media reactions discounted in outlet images. Social media spread a straightforward and terrible message. Ella's equipment is priceless. Sabalenka has an excess of equipment. So, is Sabalenka's frustration warranted? Examine her resume. She has successfully defended her title at the Australian Open. At the major events, she consistently makes it to the semi-finals and finals. She is a high-octane explosive tennis player. She adds star presence, charm, and energy. She ought to be the Nike tennis queen in a true meritocracy. Checkout pages should be crashed by her. Why isn't she? Then we must dissect the Nike business model in order to provide an answer. Most likely there isn't a plot against Sabalenka. It's economics. For a top-ranked international television talent like Sabalenka, Nike uses a tiered inventory strategy. The business has a mass-market strategy. She can be seen almost all year long. It is anticipated that she would participate in competitions for more than 30 weeks each season. As a result, Nike produces large quantities of goods, sometimes hundreds of thousands. They distribute extensively to mall chains, internet warehouses, big box stores, and specialty tennis shops. Wide accessibility is a result of large volume, but it also carries risk. Excess inventory is moved to discount channels if predicted sell-through at full price is not met by consumer demand. The typical retail flow is that it's not a what happens next greatness referendum. It's the math of supply chains. It might be a curse to be the standard. You can be found everywhere. Additionally, you become less scarce when you are everywhere. Now, contrast that with a model created by Alexandra Eala. A is an example of a scarcity approach. Nike probably realized that especially in the Philippines, a nation renowned for exceptional athlete loyalty, she commands a hyper-concentrated, emotionally charged fan base. Nike seems to have created a very limited run, low supply, highly active demand and enormous national pride rather than overwhelming international retail channels. A digital stampede is produced by that combination. Urgency is driven by scarcity. Instant sellouts are driven by urgency. Resale hype is fueled by instant sellouts. Resale hype also contributes to the idea of cultural domination. It doesn't always matter who is the superior player. The question is which approach results in a more noticeable surge in demand over time. Sabalenka's concept seeks consistent, predictable revenue. Explosive viral sell-through moments are the goal of A's model. Sustainable scale is one. Final analysis, engineered scarcity, is the other. Even while the total earnings throughout a year may provide a more complex picture, scarcity frequently appears more potent in today's sneaker culture. This has a deeper layer as well. Economics of identity. Sabalenka is popular with tennis fans all around the world. At full emotional loudness, Eala activates a particular national and diasporic identity. Purchasing turns into participation when supporters believe that purchasing a product is an act of patriotism. That is not the same consumer psychology as merely lending support to a champion. Does Sabalenka have a right to feel betrayed? Probably not emotionally. The situation is more complex from a strategic standpoint. It's possible that Nike isn't favoring any particular athlete. They might just be using two whole distinct business models. Although mass distribution increases visibility, clearance is at risk. Hype is generated via limited drops, but total units are capped. The true irony. For the simple reason that scarcity would change perception, Sabalenka might sell out right away if Nike limited their releases tomorrow. In the current, value is no longer solely determined by trophies in the sports marketing environment. It is characterized by cultural momentum, narrative intensity, and the speed at which your name may take over a feed. Additionally, Alexandra Eala is currently a symbol of a movement. Sabalenka stands for long-term supremacy. Both are strong, but in the hype-driven, algorithm-driven economy of 2026, movement can occasionally outsell mastery, at least for a brief period of time. They fabricated a story about a sellout. 60 seconds later, it was sold out. It sounds wonderful. 50,000 units were moved in 6 months. It sounds like a report on quarterly earnings. Aryna Sabalenka, on the other hand, becomes the spreadsheet. Alexandra Eala turns into a magician. However, this is the point at which the discussion becomes more in-depth and awkward. The sports marketing equation seemed straightforward for decades. Kids would line up to buy anything you wore if you won prizes, gained recognition, sold shoes, and won the Australian Open. The formula has broken. The new equation looks more like this in the age of social media. Community, trade, and connection. A stands for more than just ranking points. She stands for a country. It's more than simply a shoe purchase. When a Filipino fan buys her drop, its involvement, its patriotism, and its presence on a worldwide platform that hasn't previously given Southeast Asian tennis players much attention. It's an emotional purchase. Despite her domination, Sabalenka occupies a more complicated space. She hails from Belarus, a nation negotiating challenging geopolitical optics in the current environment. However, her brand persona is based on strength, aggression, and unadulterated passion that wins games, even outside of politics. Does it apply to lifestyle retail, though? Nike seems to be having trouble with it. Sabalenka is easily recognized on the court. Her product identity seems misguided off-court. Legitimate branding questions are being posed by fans. The Sabalenka tiger logo is where? Where's her unique lifestyle capsule? The street ear crossovers are where? Take a look at what New Balance accomplished with Coco Gauff. They gave her more than just a hue. They created a visually distinctive silhouette. It seems intimate. It seems deliberate. It seems to be hers. In contrast, Sabalenka frequently dons what seems to be a T-model, a shared form that is primarily distinguished by color. The market frequently reacts in a generic manner when a champion is marketed in a generic manner. That's the contradiction of branding. Without distinction, dominance becomes uniform. Volume is the result of standardization. Clearance of volume risks. In the meantime, storytelling combined with scarcity generates cultural heat. The long-term effects of this are a serious concern. For what length of time can a superstar put up with feeling undervalued?